When you're reading and watching the news, how do you know that it's actually news and not something else like PR or opinion or anything else? That's the focus on Media Buddhi today. Hi, I'm HR Venkatesh. Today, when you watch the news or listen to it or read a newspaper or a website, how do you know what it is that you're consuming? It's not like you're going to a store and saying, okay, that's butter because it says butter. This is jam because it says jam, and you get chocolates in that corner. You get the picture. Everything is not clearly labeled in the modern media ecosystem, whether it is on the news or on social media or on WhatsApp for that matter. Let's start with a fairly regular example. Nothing too controversial about it, and it's not new either. On September 29th, 2020, Prime Minister Narendra Modi made a speech. It was a regular speech. It was at a speech inaugurating 6 projects related to the cleanup of the river Ganga. Now, I picked 4 lines to illustrate my point. Here's the first line. The Prime Minister listed various initiatives of the government which were opposed by the opposition in spite of the benefits accrued to the people at large. Here's the second line. He said it is the very same people who opposed modernization of the Air Force and provision of modern fighter planes in it. The very same people who also opposed the one rank, one pension scheme or policy of the government. Here's the third line. He said, these are the very same people who criticized the surgical strike and asked the soldiers to prove that there was a surgical strike. The fourth line, he added that with the passage of time, these people who oppose and protest are becoming irrelevant. So now I want to ask you, these 4 lines, what is it? Is it news? Is it opinion? Is it PR? Now, PR could be press release. So is it a press release or is it public relations? An example of PR. What is it? These lines are actually part of a press release from the Prime Minister's office. You'll find it on the PMO website. It is written by a government staff member, maybe from the PMO or from some other agency within the government. It is not written by a reporter. Therefore, it is not news. It is a press release. It has not been given context or any interpretation. Yet, these very same lines were reported widely exactly as they were or verbatim in several news reports in several languages, either on the same day or the next day. And there were no changes. And when we read or watch this stuff, we never really realize because it passes by so quickly. And when these lines are reproduced faithfully, it is not news, it is PR, it's a press release, and it's public relations or good PR for the government. In contrast, here's how the Indian Express reported it on its website. The headline says, PM targets opposition. And there's a sub-headline as well, or a sub-header. Here's the first line of the report on the website. Targeting the opposition for protesting against the new farm laws, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday said, these people are neither with the farmer, nor with the youth, nor with the soldiers. Close quote. The rest of the report contains several lines from the actual speech of the Prime Minister. The difference between a press release and this report on the website is that there are several attempts to give a little bit of context and a little bit of interpretation. So the piece on the Indian Express website is news. It has taken the Prime Minister's speech and given a little bit of context and interpretation. But I want to ask you another question. Is this journalism? Before I go any further, I should say that journalism is neither an art nor a science. At its very heart, it is a process. And it's quite likely that if you ask 10 different reporters what journalism is, you'll get 10 different answers. The core will be more or less the same, but there will be significant differences. So bear that in mind when I speak about news versus journalism. It is personal based on several years of thinking about this profession that I'm in, but I'm really using this framework to drive home a point. Here's what I think is the difference between news and journalism. News is a reporting of who said what or what happened wherever that happened. It is fast. People in the news business usually will add a line of context or interpretation before hitting publish. And it, as I said, it's very fast and it's churned out by the hundreds and thousands every single day. On the other hand, journalism is going beyond it. It is slow. So people in the journalism business will add not just a line of context and interpretation, but they will also try to verify every little word as much as possible. They will fact check it as thoroughly as they can. And if they cannot fact check it, sometimes they'll add in historical context and they will use certain words at the very least to indicate a healthy skepticism. So let's go back to this piece on the Indian Express website. There is, as you will see, no attempt to fact check it, or there is no attempt to verify what the Prime Minister has said, whether it's a claim or whether it is an opinion. There is no indication at all that it is anything other than a one-sided account. It is inherently newsworthy, of course, because when Modi attacks the opposition, it is newsworthy, and especially when he attacks those he disagrees with. But really, that's all it is. And interestingly, the word said appears several times in this report on the website. I think about 11 or 12 times, as in he said, or Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, or Modi said. The word claimed does not appear even once, as in Modi claimed, or the Prime Minister claimed, or he claimed. So it's just one word that shows that there is a healthy skepticism to what anybody says, whether it's the Prime Minister or the leader of the opposition or pretty much anybody else that you're reporting on. So when events are reported in this manner and there is context interpretation but not much verification, it is news, but certainly it is not journalism. There are many reasons why news organizations do this and why they take this route, because in the very first place, verification takes a lot of time, and in this particular case, verifying what the Prime Minister said could have taken a day, it could have taken several days. And really, the news business is not built for this kind of thing. There is so much information that flies around and there is so much pressure to put out the news as quickly as possible. It's simply not possible. And in India, there is this additional pressure on news organizations. Asking questions, which really is at the heart of journalism, is sometimes interpreted as an outright attack by politicians, when it should not be seen as that. Generally speaking, I would say for about 10 or 20 personalities, news organizations should have a higher standard in reporting, not just journalism, but also news. And really, I say this as a member of a tribe who has also struggled with this. Finally, I should say a couple more things. One, I haven't singled out the Indian Express as good or bad. I'm just illustrating a point. I'm saying this is what it is. A newspaper has the advantage of publishing something on the website and then taking it forward the next day in the print edition, making it longer, adding journalism to it. It also has the option of adding commentary or opinion to it. And the second thing, it's not just enough for us as viewers and readers to know the difference between PR, that is press releases or public relations, and news and journalism. It's important for us to know the difference between that and opinion and analysis and propaganda as well. But that is going to be dealt with in the next edition of Media Buddhi. Watch out for it next week. And thanks for watching.